Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be comparing a Subaru STI to a Ford Focus RS. Now this is going to be a two-part video. This first part is going to be a walk-around comparison from car to car so you guys can see the exterior and interior of both cars, and then the next video is going to be a driving comparison. So obviously feel free to look that up so you can see how the cars compare from a driving perspective, and well, let's get into it. Now let's pop under the hoods of both the cars. Coming over here to the STI, we have a turbocharged 2.5 liter flat four cylinder that goes through a 6-speed manual transmission. Power outputs are 310 horsepower and then 290 pound-feet of torque. Coming over here to the Focus RS, we have a turbocharged 2.3 liter inline four cylinder that also goes through a 6-speed manual transmission. Power outputs on the RS are 350 horsepower and then 350 pound-feet of torque. This does get a little bit better fuel economy compared to the STI, but the difference is pretty minimal, and that's under the hood. Now let's go over the front ends of both of the cars. Starting over here with the STI, you've got this giant functional hood scoop there in the center, which definitely gives it a cool, unique appearance. And then coming down below, you've got full LED lights with the projector bulbs. You've got the venting here on the side and then all along the front with the STI logo and then the signature Subaru logo as well. And then notice how aggressive the front splitter is here on the STI. And yeah, just overall definitely has that aggressive rally car look. Coming over here to the Focus RS, it's a little bit, I would say more pedestrian in a way from the front end perspective. You just have a normal Focus hood pretty much. Those two lines there definitely look pretty cool though. And then coming down below, you still get LED lights with the projector bulbs, all that kind of stuff. And then the fog lights down below here. Got an RS logo. The venting here in the front, that's probably the best part of the RS, and then how it kind of looks like a Shelby 350 right there. And then notice the front splitter isn't nearly as aggressive as what you have on the STI. They're both good looking cars from the front end, but the STI definitely kind of has more of an aggressive and like race car look, whereas the Focus RS is a little bit more of a sleeper car. Now let's go over the tire and wheel setup with both of the cars. So first off with the STI, we've got 19-inch wheels, and on the RS, we also have 19-inch wheels. And then we've got two 45mm tires on the STI, and then two 35mm tires on the RS. Coming over to the STI wheels first and foremost. So this one does have the stock setup for the wheels, which I think look absolutely fantastic with the car. I love the acid green brake calipers underneath, and then just like the massive spoke design, I think just looks really neat. And then notice you have the STI badge right next to it. Coming over to the RS, this RS does have a set of aftermarket wheels with it. Hopefully that shows you a little bit better. So you got kind of like a bronze star right there, and then you've got the blue brake caliper. So both of them have brake calipers that kind of accent the rest of the theme of the car. But yeah, I think they both have pretty good setups for the wheels. This one does have a little bit more aggressive tires, but again, those are aftermarket. This one's got the stock tires. And then also this STI has the mud flaps on it. And then look at the difference here with the mirrors. I think the STI mirror looks just a little bit more modern with the kind of like indicator right here versus on the RS. Notice that just looks a little bit more old school. But other than that, let's actually head to the back. Now looking at things from the back view here, you guys can notice that you've got the side skirt there on the STI, and then notice they just kind of did body work there with the Focus RS. So again, the STI just looks a little bit more aggressive from the side. But then notice this one, since it has the aftermarket wheels, the offset's pretty much like flush with the car, whereas this one has a little bit of positive offset. It doesn't look bad or anything like that, but just another thing to kind of note the difference between both these cars. Now going over the back ends of both the cars, coming over here to the RS first and foremost, we have the spoiler there at the top of the hatch, which definitely is a cool look. It says RS there on the side, and then you've got the lights. Now this little part right here is kind of like a small LED. That looks good, but the rest of the taillight, kind of ugly. And then you've got the RS logo right there. And then coming down to the exhaust tips, I think Ford did a really good job with the diffuser setup and with the exhaust tip setup, because that looks nice and aggressive there at the bottom portion. But again, obviously they look quite different because this is a hatchback, and then the STI is a sedan, so you've got the giant wing, and then John has added the stabilizers here in the center. Gives it a cool, unique look. You've got your STI badge, and then he also added a tow mirror. I'm supposed to say, is that a tow me? But other than that, that's the back of the STI, and that's the back of the RS. Now let's pop into the backs of both the cars, starting over here with the RS. Notice that they've got the leather just down below here with the blue stitching to match the rest of the blue accents on the car. And then coming to the seats, again, you've got the leather mixed with the cloth. This one's an RS1, so you have the cloth here with the blue accenting there and then blue stitching on the seats. And let's actually pop in, because let's see which one has more space. So I'm sitting technically behind myself, and headroom's really good in the Focus RS. Legroom, a little bit cramped, but it's a smaller size car. Got some extra storage space there. Notice that there's no like cup holder thing that pulls out here from the center. But that's pretty much everything for the back of the RS. And let's see how easy it is to kind of get out. Ooh, got to kind of squeeze a little bit. Now let's open up the STI a little bit more. Now notice that the door panel is definitely nicer. So you've got Alcantara on that part of the stitching, and then you've got Alcantara down below with more stitching than black trim on that portion. And then coming to the seats, you've got the leather mixed with the Alcantara. Now, if you got an RS2 with the Focus RS, then they'd have Alcantara in the middle of the seats. But these seats, even with this like setup versus the RS2, I think these seats just look a little bit nicer. The leather, everything kind of feels nicer on the STI. But let's obviously pop in so we can see what it's like space-wise. It feels pretty much identical. I mean, everything feels identical from a legroom perspective, but this one actually has some cup holders that pull down and an armrest. If I can pull it out, you've got to like get your fingers in there. There we go. So I guess a win for the STI. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front of the Focus. So again, you've got the leather here with the blue stitching, all of the window controls, the door lock and unlock above. Got your RS plaque right there. And then here are the front seats. So it says RS on it. You've got the cloth there in the center, just like the back seats. They are Recaros up front. So look at the bolsters, just absolutely massive. These really hug you in place. I do have bigger legs and my legs kind of squish against the bolsters, which sucks. And then coming down below, you've got the 3-pedal layout, which the pedals all look really nice. Light controls just up above that, which the sun is completely killing everything, but there's one more look before we pop in. Let's go over the interior here on the RS. You've got this leather wrapped steering wheel, and then notice that you've got perforated leather there on the middle portion, softer leather down below, and then you've got the blue stitching RS logo. You've got your regular controls for like the phone controls, voice command controls, cruise control, all that normal daily driver stuff. And then you've got the turn signal stock and then the windshield wiper stock on the other side. And then here's a quick look at the gauge cluster. So notice you've got the RPMs and the speed on either side, and you've got the blue because again, this car's full of blue accenting. And you have that screen there in the center. You guys can see off of a 296-mile trip, I've been averaging about 17.4 miles per gallon. Have been having some fun driving the car, doing some kind of like fun, spirited driving, I guess is a good way to put it. Haven't taken it up and down a canyon yet, but that'll be happening pretty soon. And then coming over here, notice that you've got the center screen, and the backup camera is pretty good. The sun keeps killing me today. You guys can see resolution on it's decent, and then you do have a zoom function on it. And then there's some gauges here at the top that kind of give you different bits of information on the car. One shows you like the temperature, the other one shows you boost PSI, and the other shows you oil PSI. And then down below here, we've got the analog controls for the radio. Analog climate controls, this does come with a dual zone climate. And then you've got your storage space here with the USB, and then notice you got a 12 volts here, and then we have the shifter for the 6-speed manual. If you guys want to hear what I think about this transmission again, watch the driving review that'll be dropping shortly after this video drops, probably within a day or two. And then you've got the stability control here, the drive mode select, and then the auto stop start, which by the way, with the drive mode select, if we pop that on right here, you've got your normal sport, track, and drift. I've been mostly driving it in track mode, but for the driving video, I'm actually gonna drive it a little bit in the sport mode and kind of see what that's all about. And then we've got a couple cup holders here. We've got the e-brake with a bunch of stitching, and then you got a regular center console there. Pretty normal. It's definitely small, but I mean, it's a small car. Not going to pop up in the glove box, but it's a pretty normal glove box. And then finishing things here at the top, it has an all black headliner. No sunroof. You can get a sunroof as an option, but this one doesn't come with it, which I'm actually glad about. And then sunglass holder, and well, that's all for the RS. So let's head over to the STI. Now here's the door panel in the front of the STI. So first off, again, notice they continue the theme with the Alcantara and the red stitching, and then more here on the armrest. And then you've got your STI plaque. And then here are the Recaros at the front, which are really nice. The bolsters on the STI aren't as aggressive, so they don't hold you as tight as the Focus, but definitely think they look nicer from an aesthetic perspective. These seats are actually power adjustable, unlike the Focuses. And then notice you've got the pedal layout down below. And I know people are going to comment, yes, if you get an RS2 Focus, it'll have power adjustable seats. And then coming over here, you've got your stability control button. That's for the trunk. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. here's the steering wheel with the STI. So you've got the soft leather at the top and at the bottom with the perforated leather on the sides, and then there's red stitching on the center portion. And then you've got your cruise control right there. You've got your voice command volume controls, STI logo there at the bottom, and then these controls are from the center stack. Notice you got the stock there for the turn signal lights, and then winch wiper stock on the other side. And then coming here into the center screen, you've got the red gauges on the STI. There's a few different drive modes. There is the I for intelligent, which is like your fuel economy mode, and then you've got your sport mode to one side, and then you have your sport sharp to the other side for the drive modes. And then this does have the diff where you can send more power to the rear, which is another cool little feature. And then the STI does have the whole gauge setup right here, which is pretty neat. Shows you the current boost and all that kind of stuff. I think that's awesome. And then coming here to the infotainment system, definitely a more modern looking unit. You guys can see the backup camera is pretty good. Sorry about my reflection right there. But as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time is definitely better. And like I said, this screen just definitely looks more modern than in the Focus RS. Got all your controls around there. Still have a dual zone climate, and then extra storage space here, and then again still have a 6-speed manual shifter. And again, if you want to hear my impressions on this manual transmission, then go watch my STI review. Notice where the reverse is kind of over and down. You pull up on the tab. The Focus is the opposite, but you still pull up on the tab. It's just up instead of down. And then you got your drive mode select right here, and then you've got the diff. Still get an e-brake. Heated seats, which is definitely a nice feature. You have to get an RS2 to get the seat option. And then you've got the center console, which does the weird like extension up thing, which is interesting. Got the glove box over there, and then finishing things up here with the STI. Notice that, again, we've got a full dark headliner. No sunroof because John is smart like me and gets a car that doesn't have a sunroof, but that's everything for the top of the STI. Now let's quickly get into pricing with both of the cars. So as for the Focus RS, it originally stickered for about $38,000, and then this STI originally stickered for about $40,000. Now on the open market, the RSs have been holding their value a little bit better, but that's just because they discontinued it. I feel like if they still were making them, then they would have similar depreciation to the STI, but both of these cars in general hold their value very well. Now, obviously, we do have to pick a winner for today's video. Now, this is just purely going to be from an exterior aesthetics perspective, and then also from an interior perspective as well. I don't know what's going on down there. Is that a Tome? But anyways, in terms of the exterior looks, I know that a lot of people are going to go from one to the other in terms of looks. I feel like the STI slightly wins in this category. Take away the aftermarket wheels on the RS, and the STI definitely has more of kind of like a rally car type look. Definitely more aggressive, definitely differentiates itself from the base model commuter car that it's built off of, right? It's built off of a Subaru Impreza. Whereas the Focus RS, it definitely looks more aggressive than a base model Focus, but it's not like substantially different compared to like the STI, where this thing just looks crazy. And then from an interior perspective, I definitely like the seats in the RS more because they hold you in place better. But the interior on the STI definitely feels more upscale, definitely feels more luxury based. And so for the walk around comparison, I'm going to give the win to the STI just because I feel like it looks a little bit nicer, has a little bit nicer interior, is a little bit more modern compared to the RS. But obviously we've got to drive both these cars for the driving comparison. So check out that video so you can see which car wins that. Now that's going to sum things up for our walk-around comparison of the STI versus the Focus RS. And again, if you guys want to see the driving impressions, wait for that video. It should be posting a day or two after this one. And yeah, I'll see all of you in the next video.